Welcome to day number 2. This is the Fitness Formula Challenge. I'm Susie B, and I am your personal trainer for the week. I'm going to teach you how to simplify fitness in a way that works, that gets you more results in less time with less effort and definitely less stress and frustration. So welcome. Welcome to day 2. If you missed day 1, you can go back and watch that. If you can't find it, send me a message and I'll tag you in it. All right, looks like comments are coming in here. Glad to have you guys here today. I'll pull this up real quick so you can see. And I just want to introduce myself real quickly today and tell you a little bit about my experience with fitness. So I'm Susie B. I'm a habits coach, podcaster, personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for over 15 years now. Speaker, author, podcast host. My podcast is called Habits and Humor. If you're a podcast listener, you can definitely check that out. Okay, awesome. So my bachelor's degree is in health education with a emphasis in community wellness. Meaning I, from the beginning, knew that I wanted to help people to not only have, athletics in their life. I've been an athlete since I was 5 and I absolutely love athletics, but there's so much more to health than just fitness. So I started out in the personal training space and then I felt restricted by that. I wanted to know more about nutrition. I wanted to know more about the effects of sleep and hormones and all these different things and how they work together. So for the past 15 years, that's what I have been working toward. Over and over and over again, the most effective thing that helps people create change is habits. 100% of the time, when I work with people on their habits, that creates change. So we've been doing these healthy habits challenges all year long and talking about different topics, instant habits, so that those of you that are like, I don't have time to wait 2 months for these habits to become habits, I got you. You can do it right now. Fitness Formula, that's where we are today. Next month, we're doing the protein challenge. We've got the Meals and Move challenge. That's for, nutrition and hormone balancing together. Top healthy habits, how to help you to lose weight right now and keep it for life. SIP challenge. This is huge for hormone balance. If that's a struggle that you have, that one's major. Sweet freedom is a way for you to feel free around sugar without feeling restricted or overindulging. Portion control challenge is a great one for especially your occasions. So holidays, weekends, parties, things like that. It's a great one, but also for your everyday meals, for your everyday drinks, beverages, all that kind of stuff, snacks, it's all in there. And then Calm for Christmas we did that one over the holiday season because that tends to be a high stress season, but you can apply the concepts from that and the habits that we learned in that challenge any time of the year. If you want any of those challenges, let me know. We've got them all in mini course format now for you, so you can access those anytime. And of course, you can find them here in this group live every month. All right, so those are the challenges. That's a little background on me. Let's go more into habits and why habits work. So let's see. First thing we want to do is talk about the order of operations with habits. All right, so most people, a lot of the questions that I get are going to be something along the lines of, how do I stick to it? Or, okay, this seems like a good beginning, but as soon as this challenge is over, I'm going to fall off the wagon and, not make any progress. How do I not do that? Because it's super frustrating. Who here has been there? Write me in the comments if you've ever started something, felt super motivated, and then 2 weeks later you were like, oh, wait a minute, I was doing that thing? Right. That's because there's this powerful thing that happens called brain science. And if you don't know that this happens in your brain, you're going to be frustrated by it every time that it happens. And it does happen every time. This is factual evidence, brain science. So I can bury you in research on it, but I won't. And I will just pull up one simple slide for you because it'll just make it easier. So here's a visual for you of how you actually form habits. Habits are, in my opinion, the best way to create long-term change. And this is the simplest way to create a habit. So we use a system that I call the ACT system, or ACT. Yesterday, I talked to you guys about how we're not going to focus on results anymore. We're going to focus on action. A lot of you were like, well, what action? This is it right now, okay? So there's 3 phases that happen in your brain that create habits. The first phase is taking new action. This is about the first month of anything you do. All right, so this is what I call phase number 1. It's about 1 to 4 weeks of your conscious mind taking control of a situation. That might be, fitness, that might be nutrition, whatever the thing is that you're working toward, a New Year's resolution, something like that. Okay, so for the first month, your conscious mind is what is in control there. Then we're going to skip down to the transformation, phase number 3, weeks 7 through 9. This is where things become natural. They become a habit. They become possible for you without a lot of thought or effort. That part is controlled by your subconscious mind. So the first month is your conscious. The last couple of weeks of the second month is conscious. And then last couple of weeks is your subconscious. There's this crazy thing that happens in between that I call the slump. In James Clear's book, what is that book called? Atomic Habits. He calls it the plateau of latent potential. Whatever you want to call it, there is this gap that happens between your conscious and subconscious mind every time you try to create something new that lasts. And this gap throws so many people off. If you don't see it coming, it will halt your progress. This right here is the reason that 90% of New Year's resolutions don't make it to February 1st. This right here is the reason that you feel so motivated in challenges like this. And then as soon as the challenge is over, you're like, maybe that's not for me. It's this, okay? This is the part of your brain that is fascinating. So there's this conversation that happens between your conscious and subconscious mind. And it takes about 2 weeks for that conversation to happen. The conscious mind is good at something for about 30 days. And then it's like, hey, I've done my piece, subconscious, you do your thing. But the subconscious mind controls all the important tasks that keep you alive. It's like the bouncer of your brain. So it's not going to let anything in there that isn't super important. So what it's going to do is it's going to go, all right, conscious, prove it. Prove it that this is important enough to come in here. This is a pretty elite level club. We're only going to let in a few people. So prove to me that you deserve to be here. It's going to look for patterns. So your brain is wired for pattern recognition. So for the next 2 weeks or so, somewhere between weeks 4, 5, 6, and 7, depending on how your brain works. Mine, it's about week 7. Your conscious is going to be looking for, or your subconscious is going to be looking for patterns. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to form habits. It's not looking for, okay, 100% of the last 50 days has happened. No, we're looking for patterns. So, all right, out of the last 50 days, 37 of those days, we've done this thing. That's looking pretty consistent. All right. So then your conscious mind goes, okay, we can get on board with this. I'll go ahead and take over. And that's where the transformation happens, where all of a sudden it becomes natural. I call this in my program the new normal, where it just becomes part of who you are and how you live. I'll talk to you guys a little bit today about one of my clients, Angie. Let's just talk about it right now. Let's go right into Angie's story. So Angie she's been working with me for about 9 months now. And for the first 2 months that she came to me, she's like, I know I need to get back into workouts and exercise, but I just really have a hard time. I don't have the energy for it. She's working full time and she's got so much going on. She's got kids and family and the whole thing. And she's like, I just don't have time for it. And I definitely don't have the energy for it. And I definitely don't have the motivation. I'm like, all right, so let's just start small and start simple, which is the opposite of what everybody else out there is saying, right? Everybody else is like, all right, we're going to go 6 days a week, an hour and a half a day at full cardio, all this crazy. No, I was like, Ange, all right, here's what we're going to do. 4 days a week, which 4 out of 7, that's a pattern, right? More on days than off days. 4 days a week, you're going to move in some way on purpose. Whether that's walking to your mailbox or going for a bike ride or walking your dog, whatever it is, you're going to move intentionally for 4 days out of every week. For the first 3 weeks, she's like, all right, I can do this. And then we hit the slump. And she's like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, I know you don't want to do it, but I'm here to support you. The most important part of going through phase number 2, the C part, is consistency. You have to prove to your subconscious that this is important. So when you want to quit after a month, when you quit, you tell the subconscious, actually, it wasn't important. Let's just bag it. And that's why you feel like you're starting over every dang time. However, if you get really consistent during this phase, some people it's 1 week, some people it's 2, some people it's 3, get an accountability partner, get a coach, hire somebody to get you through this phase so that you can make it to transformation when your subconscious takes over. And this is what happened to Angie for 6 weeks now. So the first 3 weeks was sort of easy. Second 3 weeks was super hard. She's like, just slogging through it, like, all right, I'm just going to force myself to do it. And it's not fun at all. And I hate every second of it. And then all of a sudden she's like, whoa, this isn't so bad. I actually feel like I can do more. And so then she's like, all right, I'm going to find some exercises that I really love. She used to compete in these rowing competitions. She'd do these dry tries. And so she's like, I'm going to get back into rowing. When we started, I suggested rowing to her and she's like, I'm not ready for rowing. I'm not ready. After just a couple of weeks, she's all of a sudden not only ready, but she's motivated now. And it wasn't me that was motivating her. Motivation was coming from within because she had taken action. She'd stayed consistent and now she was experiencing the transformation. So this all happened in just a couple of weeks. It was so fun and exciting to watch. And then you guys, some serious magic happened. Okay. So like I said, that was the first month and a half of working with Angie. We've been together for 9 months now. She just reported this week that she's lost 50 pounds. She's lost 50 pounds, you guys. We went from not wanting to walk to the mailbox to losing 50 pounds doing an exercise that she absolutely loves. But here's the kicker. The proudest moment that she had the week she lost 50 pounds wasn't the 50 pounds. She was way more excited to tell me that she had rode 1 million meters. Do you understand this, you guys? She lost 50 pounds and it wasn't as important to her as the 1 million meters. She was so proud to tell me that she'd rode 1 million meters. And I was amazed by this number. 1 million meters, that's forever. She could go around the world several times with that. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of simple action and the understanding of how habits are formed. So that, my friends, is what we're talking about this week. I hope this inspires you with a little bit of courage and a little bit of hope for what is possible. All right, so now let's get into today's topic of cardio. I got to find the right page. Here we go. Going back. So cardio is one of those things that a lot of people like to overcomplicate. We're not going to overcomplicate it. I'm going to simplify it down for you with the facts of what is actually true and teach you exactly how to apply it to something you enjoy. That's one thing that I do differently than a lot of people out there is I'm not worried about the numbers. I'm worried about how you feel about what you're doing, the action and your enjoyment of the action. If you're doing something you hate, it's going to be really hard to stick to it. However, so like Angie didn't like the walks or the bike rides. So she found rowing and she freaking loves it. Like you got to be open to trying a couple of different things. But here's a super simple formula that you can apply to whatever it is that you enjoy. We're going to find you something you enjoy. We're going to do this. This is the cardio formula. I know I just said I wasn't worried about numbers, but here's some numbers. These are the numbers that matter, okay? We're not going to worry about how many calories you burn in an hour. We're not going to worry about how many minutes per mile or whatever. We're not going to worry about any of that. What we're going to worry about is this simple formula. 2 times 5 equals 10. This is not a trend that will change in 5 years. 2 times 5 has always and will always equal 10. That is true. The things I'm going to teach you today also are true. Those will also always be true, okay? So we're going to break down this formula into 4 parts. The first part is the 2 times. 2 times a day, you want to push yourself to what I call max out or maximum heart rate or maximum muscle usage. There's going to be twice a day that you're moving at a level that you cannot maintain. So if you love to walk, if you're walking, rather than walking at a pace that you can do for 12 days, you're going to push yourself just for a little bit, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute, just for a short amount of time. You're going to push yourself at a pace that you need a break from. So like the other day, I went hiking with some friends, and at one point it gets really steep, and they're like, all right, let's just take the steep part slow. And I thought, what if we just take the steep part fast and we bang it out as fast as we can go to as far as we can go, and then we take a break. So we did that, and it really wasn't that far, but we got so much more muscle and cardio activation than we would have otherwise. People often talk about the runner's high. It's simply breaching what's called your VO2 max, which is a level of oxygen that once that level reaches your brain shifts gears. You don't have to run a marathon to get the runner's high. You simply have to push yourself at a level that increases your breathing, your muscle activation, and your heart rate. That's it. It's super simple, you guys. Twice a day, I want you to push yourself to a point where you need to take a break. That's it. You got me? So maybe you're walking up and down the stairs and you're like, I can only do 2 flights. Do 2.5 and just see what you can push yourself to do. Or maybe you're like, all right, I usually walk a mile in 10 minutes. Just push the pace a little bit. See if you can walk a mile in 9 minutes and just push that last minute. Or maybe you're like, all right, usually I do, this kind of a workout. All right, we're going to do some squats in the middle of that workout. Or we're going to hold a plank for 1 minute. Usually you hold a plank for 30 seconds. We're going to hold for 1 minute. Just push yourself twice a day to a point where you need a break. That, my friends, is so powerful for your mind, for your body, for every single part of you. And it's the number one positive effect from fitness. And you can do it in like 30 seconds. You don't need to work out for hours and hours and hours in order to get this. You can do it by simply pushing yourself to a high level twice a day. And that can be twice in the same workout. That can be twice in a couple of minutes. Or maybe that just means once with your heart rate and once with your muscles. So maybe you just, do as many push-ups as you can do in a minute. And then later you push yourself on your walk. That's your twice a day. It doesn't have to be so complicated. All right, on to the next step. So 5,000 steps a day, non-workout. This is a goal that I think everybody should have simply because your body is designed to move. The world is designed to sit. So what we're going to do is we're going to fight back against the world and we're going to keep moving, all right, throughout the day. So many people, so many fitness personal trainers out there focus, all right, we're going to do 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Good. But you know what? There's 23 and a half other hours every one of those days. And there's 7 days a week. What if we maximize our time of just moving throughout the day? I know you've heard park at the back of the parking lot, take the stairs. This is why you want to actually move throughout your day. I got a couple of clients right now that set an alarm. The last 5 minutes of their hour at work, they're just going to get up and walk around the office. Just walk around the office. I have an alarm on my phone or on my watch that says, if I haven't stood up in an hour, it will say, hey, you need to get up and move around a little bit. Do what you got to do to remind yourself to get up and move around. Your life is unlikely, unless you are a teacher or somebody who's on their feet all day, it's not likely that you've got this built in, that you're just moving and stepping 5,000 steps a day. And again, the number is just a metric. It's not the most important piece. The fact is that you're moving throughout the day, not so focused on exercise, but we're moving consistently throughout the day. That's what I want you to get from this. So twice a day, we're going to push ourselves. We're going to keep moving consistently throughout the day and work towards 5,000 steps a day without workouts or outside of our workouts. And then the equals sign here. Whoo, the equals. This is an important piece. So many people talk about cardio or resistance days. My friends, if you want to get the most results from your workouts, from your body, from your movements, do both. You want to work those two things equally. So a question that I ask my clients probably 500 times a day is, what's working harder right now? Your heart and lungs or your muscles? If they can't answer that question because they're about the same, we're nailing it. We're doing it right. If you're like, okay, I'm breathing really hard, but my muscles are fine, then I want you to increase the resistance. Working on a product right now to make you some comfortable ankle weights, but right now you could just do what you got to do. Carry some hand weights, carry some ankle weights. If you're walking outside, find a hill. Walk up and down your stairs. The difference between walking across your house and walking up and down one flight of stairs, it's about the same distance. But holy smokes, there's so much more muscle activation. You're going to get so much more efficiency out of your movement. So start where you are, whatever your exercise level is, whatever your fitness level is, just ask yourself that consistent question. What's working harder right now? My lungs and heart or my muscles? If the answer is both, you're crushing it. That's all you need to know. All right, so then we're going to go to the 10. Before I get into the 10, I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever heard of the perfect 10? This was a concept that was talked about years and years ago, decades ago, that was brought up, the perfect 10. What do you think of when you think of the perfect 10? You think of the perfect looking person, right? The perfect 10 has defined muscles and is slender and all beautiful in every way. But here's the thing. The perfect 10 is different for every single body. There is no perfect body. That is not a thing. And I'm glad that we're moving finally in society to realize that that is a truth. There is no perfect 10. What is the perfect 10 is going to be you doing what you need to do for you. Okay, so your perfect 10 is going to simply be the rest of this equation. The answer to the equation is going to be 10% beyond your comfort zone. Okay, 10% beyond your comfort zone. That's where we want to move to. If 5,000 steps a day for you is a huge jump and you're like, okay, that is 500% outside my comfort zone, don't start there. If you walked 1,000 steps yesterday, go for 1,500 today. And then next week, go for 2,000 and work up to 5,000 steps a day. Your perfect 10 is 10% beyond what is natural, what is normal, what is routine for you. We're just going to push 10% outside of that. If you go from 0 to 60, if you go from not working out at all to running a marathon tomorrow, you're going to get hurt. I promise you that. There will be injuries, and then you're going to have to take time off and you won't be able to exercise anymore. Who here has done that? Drop a thumbs down in the comments if you've ever started a workout routine and got hurt and had to stop and lost all your progress. Everybody, right? Every day one of us has done this because that is what is out there. That is what we're being told to do, is go from where we are to where somebody else is. And oh, you know what? This is what's possible. You should be there. That's the perfect 10. No, 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 my friends. The perfect 10 for you, 10% beyond where you are right now. A little bit of progress consistently over time goes a long way. Okay, one more perfect 10 that I want to bring up down here is another goal that you can set for yourself is if you're like, how do I track if it's 5,000 steps a day outside my workouts? I wear my watch all the time, so I can't tell what's workout and what's not. 10,000 steps a day is a good goal if you're on the days that you're working out. Okay. Or 10,000 steps a day is a good day if you're not ready to work out yet. Or maybe you need a break. Maybe you have an injury right now and you're like, I can't work out. Let's just move then. What if you're just going through a really hard time? So probably 3 years ago now, I was going through some really difficult stuff and my body just started shutting down. I was sick all the time. I had cold sores and I had strep throat and I was just constantly sick and I was constantly sore and I never had any energy. And I was like, what is going on? I'm working out every day. I'm eating like I should, doing the things that I should be doing, but what in the heck is going on? Well, I was personally going through one of the most difficult emotional experiences of my life. And what was happening is called adrenal fatigue. I was constantly in high cortisol. I was stressed out all the time. And so by adding physical stress of my workouts and then adding stress of needing to be perfect with my diet and all of these things, I was just stressing the heck out of my body and it started to shut down. It started to fight me back. I had another client that just did this last year. This woman comes to me and she's like, I've been fasting for, a year. I've been working with this fasting coach on intermittent fasting and I'm really stressed out about my business. I've got all these other things that are going on, but I'm not getting results anymore. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about adrenal fatigue for a second. And so we pulled back and I actually had her stop working out for over a month. And she loves to work out. This was really, really hard for her, but we stopped her from working out for a month and just went back to 10,000 steps a day. She healed herself. Things got back in order. I did the same thing. We both were able to heal from what was going on. We, were able to manage the stress levels. And then we brought back the exercise. So maybe for you, if you're in a really difficult time right now, or if you're like, I'm not ready for exercise, maybe that's your perfect 10,000 steps a day. And in those steps, push yourself twice a day. Make sure you're working your muscles and lungs equal. It's truly that simple, you guys. It really, really is. That, my friends, is the cardio formula. 2 times 5 equals 10. Write it down, stamp it on your forehead, do what you got to do so that you get out of the cycle of thinking, I have to do something crazy in order to get results. You don't. You just have to go 10% beyond what you are currently doing. Maybe you currently are a marathon runner. I would encourage you to check your muscle to cardio balance. Are you training your muscles as hard as you're training your lungs and heart? Whatever it is that you're doing right now, you can apply this formula. That's why this works. That's why this is true, because it is applicable to every single situation. And it's never going to be an extreme that causes you more damage than good. All right, so that's what we're going to cover today, you guys. I hope that you got a lot out of this. And I hope that this makes sense to you. Type in the comments if you have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of questions today, and then we'll, keep answering questions throughout the week. Tomorrow, we are going to cover the strength formula. All right, the strength formula. We're going to talk about resistance training and how we can simplify that. We just simplified the heck out of cardio. Let's simplify strength now. And for those of you that are asking this question, I do have several coaching offers. The number one question that has been coming in, there's probably 14 of you that have submitted, how do I stick to this after the challenge? Great question. Get some accountability, get some coaching, get someone who can help you stay consistent through that ACT process. Now that you know that's the process that's going to happen in your brain, now that you know why you want to quit after 3 weeks of doing something new, get somebody to help you be consistent. That C is the middle because it is the key. It's going to take you to transformation. We know what the action is. That's what we're doing this week. I'm teaching you the action. You've got to stay consistent to reach transformation. So I've got 3 different programs that you guys can work with me on. One of them is a personal training sessions program, just pay as you go, weekly personal training sessions. The other is I have 2 options for a group coaching program and a 6-month VIP group and one-to-one coaching program. So if you're like, hey, I know that I'm going to need this consistency, we're going to talk about it as we go throughout the week. I don't want to overload you with too much today, and I want to keep these short and sweet. So we'll give you some more information on that tomorrow, but know that is definitely an option. If you're stressed about what happens at the end of this challenge, I've got you. We've got options for you at every budget, every price range, every need, whether your time or schedule or whatever that you need. We're going to talk about it as we go throughout the week. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Let's do a giveaway. I said I was going to do a giveaway for whoever's here live. Looks like there's 18 of us here. Let me pull up who is here. Ooh. Ooh, now you can hear me. Can you hear me? I've just accidentally pushed myself to talk. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a drawing of, for those of you that are live here. And here we go. For the rest of you that are not live, if you're catching this on a replay, join us live so that you can get in on these giveaways.